Hi, everyone. This is Lauren Baker with Search Engine Journal. Welcome to today's SEJ webinar. With us, we have two guests. One, Zac Elbel from CallRail, and then also Stephanie Olive from SMB team, a CallRail partner. And today we're going to be going over effortless conversions, close more sales with AI data. So the two of you say hi real quick, Zac and Stephanie, and then I'm going to go ahead and take care of some bookkeeping on my end, or housekeeping on my end, to show everybody how's it going.
Hi, everybody. Stephanie, really excited to be here today.
Hey there, Zac Elbel, here from CallRail, Senior Product Marketing Manager. Really excited to get into it with y'all today.
Excellent. So thanks for the two of you jumping on. And then also we have quite a bit of attendees that have come in already. Typically, there could be a little bit of a lag time to get everybody in the room. So I'm going to go ahead and go over the housekeeping for today's webinar. First and foremost, bookkeeping. It's that time of the year, right? so interesting, a little bit of tongue there. So first and foremost, you'll see emojis under the presentation. We love to hear feedback while we're doing these webinars. So if you can click emojis to let us know that, hey, this is great information, whatever it is, go ahead and try it out now. You have a smiley face, party, heart, everything else. Also, in the chat room, if you'd like to just kind of chime in, let everyone know where you're coming into the webinar from, whether it's somewhere in the US, Florida, Ohio, or somewhere international, Tokyo, Mozambique, wherever it may be, right? So really cool to see that participation going on in our webinar center. And then it kind of gets you all, more active and ready to ask questions. So speaking of questions, we do have a Q&A box right here as well. So as Zac and Stephanie are presenting today, please feel free to ask any questions that you have in here. Then we'll identify those during the live Q&A session that we're going to have after today's webinar. Also, speaking of the live Q&A session, right around the same time, CallRail will be hosting a breakout room, which you can jump into for more of a specific demo on how all of this works around the same time that we're doing the Q&A. And then we are going to have a poll today. We highly encourage all attendees to be active with the poll. There's only one poll, so there's no excuse not to answer it. That's going to be on slide 13, about halfway through today's webinar. And just as a reminder, we'll pin this later, but we do have a PDF handout from CallRail from conversations to conversions. So we highly encourage everyone to download that, and we'll go ahead and share it and pin it as the presentation's going on. And I believe that's everything from my side. So I'll turn off my camera for a little bit and let you guys take over.
Thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Lauren. I know it's almost tax season, so obviously bookkeeping is top of mind. I know where that slip of the tongue came from. But to give you a little bit about CallRail, at CallRail's core, we're an AI-powered marketing attribution platform. We're focused on helping you track your both on and offline leads so that you can understand and improve your marketing ROI. We're built to help your businesses easily turn more leads into better customers. And that's been proven time and time again. More than 200,000 small businesses and marketing agencies are currently finding value within CallRail, and we are currently the highest rated inbound call tracking provider on G2, 7 years running.
Awesome. So like I said, my name is Stephanie. I'm the Senior Director of Client Experience at SMB team. And we are a marketing agency and also a coaching business for attorneys. Our average client grows 80% year over year. To reference that to like a typical law firm grows 5% year over year. So we're almost 16x the amount of times that we grow a business. We have an awesome team, and I'm excited because today I'm actually going to show you exactly the strategies that we help our clients as far as intake. So if you're a marketing agency joining us today, welcome. I'm excited to share some of my wisdom with you. If you're a B2C business, there's a lot of gold nuggets that both Zac and I are going to be sharing with you today that will also be applicable for you. So I want to kick off this presentation by explaining the definition of a business. And I know that might seem funny, right? Like we know the definition of a business, But I think it's important for us to keep this in mind as we discuss intake. So according to sources, a business is a commercial profitable enterprise that runs with or without you. And the reason why this is so important is because if a business is not answering their phone, if a business is not properly following up with leads, then there's no way you're going to be profitable. And I think this is important for you to know if you're a business owner in here today, or if you work with a lot of, clients and you service them, to remind them that there's no way they will be profitable and grow their business if leads are not being handled properly. So there's a couple of fun facts I also want to share with you today before we kick things off. So the first one, and I'm actually surprised with this one, I thought it would be a little bit higher, but 45% of businesses report that having a well-structured intake process overall improves customer satisfaction because clients feel valued and heard. Again, to reference the definition of a business, if I can't explain to you how many times I've seen negative Google reviews from businesses that don't pick up their phone. And this, negative reviews, I mean, that's a whole can of worms that I could speak hours about. But having negative reviews also affects your marketing performance. So this is not just, because of your reputation, but also because it affects your rankings on Google as well as your local service ads. And so making sure that you're following up with your intake and, leads, and, it's just very important. So I was surprised that it was 45% and not higher.
Yeah.
The other fun fact is that 88% of businesses using a call tracking system overall see an improvement in their overall customer service. And I'm actually going to share with you later today in our presentation a real case study about a client that actually uses CallRail to monitor and do some quality assurance for their intake team. And I think it's so important. I mean, I encourage my clients all the time to, make sure they're doing quality assurance about their intake team, because a lot of my clients spend a lot of money on marketing, and having a lead not being properly handled as a result of like a paid ads campaign or whatever the case might be could be really, really costly. So this is one of the most important things that we're going to be discussing in today's presentation. And last but not least, if you are a marketing agency in here, I'm pretty sure you can resonate with this, but according to 77% of marketers, tracking phone calls allows us as, lead generation companies to ensure that our budget allocation, again, if you're running paid ad campaigns, this is crucial, is targeted towards where we're generating most of the conversions. And having a call tracking system allows us to kind of see the type of quality of the leads that are coming through. So I want to talk about the top 3 problems that we see often with businesses. You heard a lot of it from the facts that we just discussed right now, but I think this is going to put us in a mindset of really understanding kind of like some strategies that we're going to be discussing today. And so the top 3 problems that we see with businesses is that they have limited visibility into specifically what channels, what sources are driving the majority of your qualified leads. I can't tell you how many clients we have onboarded that when we're trying to, decide where to allocate our marketing budget and kind of get some history, they don't know where their money was spent. And so this is very, very important, understanding what channels are actually driving conversions. The second biggest problem is that there's just not enough data because, there's no tracking of data. There's potentially a lot of missed calls and a lot of missed opportunities. So data is very, very important, and having that visibility on an ongoing basis. And last but not least, you could have you could have an intake team that's answering the phone. You could be booking calls, but if you're not following up with your leads on a timely basis, and I'm actually going to share some strategies later today on this could really hurt your revenue. And so I'm excited to dive in further. And what I want to share with you next is actually two real case scenarios of some of these problems. This one was particularly very painful, but I did work with a personal injury law firm that had an amazing case. For those of you that work in marketing, you could imagine, or probably you have some law firm clients that you deal with. I mean, the cost to acquire a lead for a personal injury law firm on Google Ads could really cost anywhere from $700 to $1,000 per lead. This specific client that I worked with had a client that called having, an amazing car accident case. The client was very desperate for legal help. They clicked the first Google ad that they saw. And unfortunately, my client did not pick up the phone call and followed up 2 business days later. You can imagine by the time that my client followed up with that potential lead, that client already hired a competitor. The financial impact of not having that process in place costed them anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000. And again, that doesn't include the cost to acquire the client, which I mentioned earlier, could have been anywhere between $700 to $1,000. And we're talking about just one lead. So you can imagine how frustrated this client was. It was just a very painful situation. I also want to give an example that's not legal related, but I did work with this client prior to me being at SMB. And this was an event company that had a client that wanted to acquire or inquire for a wedding of over 300 people. The call was missed. That's like a big no-no right there. And not only that, they didn't follow up until 5 business days later. Again, they hired a competitor. What I want to stress about this specific example is not only the loss in revenue, but also the opportunity of acquiring a 5-star review and also the opportunity of a referral.
So I really appreciate that context on the impact that missed calls can have on businesses. Again, not just legal, but all over the place. There's lost revenue. There's wasted marketing spend. But with that context of missed calls, I do want to go ahead and do a little bit of an exercise and open up the poll that Lauren referenced earlier. We can, go ahead and get that kicked off. So I want everybody in the call to go ahead and take a guess here in the poll. Questions there on the screen, but go ahead, put your answers into the poll. But what percentage of unanswered calls from customers do not call back a second time?
We've had a few responses in already. It's really starting to heat up. How about if I share this in about 5 or 6 seconds?
Yeah, of course. Give everybody some time to answer.
Absolutely. So it does look like we have 4 different options: 25%, 45%, 65%, and 85%. So it's going to be really interesting to hear what happens here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share the results. You ready?
Ready for it.
Boom.
All right. So, 45% at 85%. So it's going to be confusing. But yeah, almost half of y'all do think that 85% of calls that are missed or not fielded do not call back a second time. And you are actually right. 85% of non-fielded calls will not give you a second chance. So, they've already moved on and they're buying from someone else at that point. It seems like a really, really high number to me, but it shows the impact and the power of a prompt response from businesses. And obviously, that is a big number, so we're not going to leave you hanging, but we'll get to the various ways that we can address that really high number. But before we do, I do also want to go ahead and get pulse checks from people in the audience. With a couple of other questions about phone calls and missed calls. So on the next slide, just wanted to quickly ask, from a personal standpoint, How many phone calls do you think your business or your clients miss on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis? Luigi, I see you very active in the chat. Definitely appreciate that. So anybody else have any feedback into how many calls they feel like they're missing any given day or week? You know, it's unavoidable. Can't really answer 2 calls at the same time, and you know, there's no shame in any answer here, but yeah, if anybody has any feedback, go ahead and add it into the chat.
Especially after hours, if you really think about it, that's where I see most of my clients missed calls is really after hours.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's certainly something to think about. But you know, on the next slide here, we also want to go ahead and talk about the follow-up process, because you know, those missed calls are certainly unavoidable. So we do want to think about how to have a follow-up process in place whenever you do miss these calls. And as we progress, we can start to talk about some of the strategies that you can, as a business, deploy if you are in fact missing calls, which again, as everybody is. So missed calls happen, but when a call is missed, solutions like call tracking from CallRail, what they can do is go ahead and send an immediate automated text message to the caller, or the form submitter for that matter, which is acknowledging the missed call and letting them know that someone is going to be in touch shortly. This is going to eliminate that opportunity window and gives the caller the reassurance that their inquiry is heard and important. And it also gives you the opportunity to stop the lead from moving on to the next business that's in their queue or their search results. Another tool that CallRail has is the advanced call flow feature. This allows you to go ahead and customize how these calls are routed based on availability in your call fielders. If your team's busy or on another line, calls can be automatically routed to another team member or location, which is going to overall reduce the number of missed calls that you have. You can also set up a voicemail to email feature where your voicemails are automatically transcribed and quickly sent to your inbox for follow-up so that you can reach out to that customer. And then similarly, but a little bit more dynamic based on caller inputs, is call routing. So CallRail offers the ability to create intelligent systems that are going to direct and route phone calls to the right department or individual completely based on caller input or their geolocation. And this ensures that your team handles the calls more efficiently and minimizes the number of lost sales, either overall or to your competitors. And, you know, after just taking a look at some of the tools that you can use, I'm going to pass it back to Stephanie so she can showcase some real life applications of this sort of stuff.
Great. So I'm going to share with you a graph that I actually, and you know, I know this is law firms specifically, but really the way we train our clients is to build a business. So what I'm about to share with you could really be applicable to any business model. We do a big emphasis in making sure our clients have an equal partnership when we're running digital marketing campaigns and, you know, really generating leads for them. So this graph shows that as an agency, we take ownership in making sure that we drive as many leads as possible. And the way our business model works and the way our strategy works is that we create a marketing strategy plan that's aligned with our clients' future annual revenue goals. So if I have a small, you know, family law practice that says, hey, Stephanie, I want to go from 200K to 400K, our marketing strategy is going to be aligned with the 400K annual revenue goal. And I can drive as many leads as I can, but if intake is broken, then we're not going to achieve the same level of results that we expect, and we're not going to hit our annual revenue goal. And so in this model, it allows us, if you want to create a similar model for yourself or your business, this just allows us to create expectations with our clients to ensure that there's equal amount of accountability and to see this as a partnership, because intake is that level of important. In this next model is even more important. You can also create this for your own business, but as an agency, it is our job to ensure that we're launching an ad. It is our job to make sure that the site is ranking on Google, and that as a result of that strategy, we generate a lead. But where you see that white line, we need that equal amount of accountability with our clients. And that is to ensure that, the firm qualifies the lead, that if they have a consult, that they book the consult, to ensure that they're showing up for the consult, and to ensure that they're converting those clients successfully. Apologies for that. So again, this is very, very important. And this is exactly the graphic that I use for my clients to set that level of expectation. And what I'm going to be sharing with you today is strategies. If there's anything that you want to optimize in any of the areas that are highlighted in green. So if you want to go to the next slide, I can get into details on that. So if right now you feel there's an area in your intake process where you could really improve your consultation booking rate, there's a couple of strategies that I want to share with you today. The first one is pre-framing. I can't tell you how many times I've seen calls being handled not really the right way. A lot of, specifically with law firms, if I call right now a divorce family law practice, most times they're going to go straight into fact finding. What's your name? What's your email? What's your phone number? And really the concept of pre-framing is to insert, and it sounds not as exciting, but it really, really helps. It's inserting phrases when you are speaking with a potential new client that makes them feel like they made the right choice to calling you. And that could look like, for example, hi, thank you so much for calling the law office of Stephanie. You made the right choice. We are the top family law firm in the state of Pennsylvania. We have 500 five-star reviews. We specialize in child custody. Can I get more information to see if we can help you? That reframing really, really helps. So I know it sounds short, it sounds simple, but it really helps when it comes to improving the way that you handle the lead and also differentiating yourself from competitors. The second strategy is really showing value. A lot of businesses make the fact-finding process about them and not really about the client. And when we're in the middle of getting information for our client in a call, we do want to make it about ourselves. Of course, we need the information to see if we can help them, but we want to make the lead feel like we care about them. So think about when you look at your, intake script, how can I make this call about them so that they feel that this process is helpful? The next one is schedule the consult ASAP. I want to share a quick story with another personal injury law firm that they called us very excited, saying, oh my gosh, that lead was perfect, perfect case. I'm so excited. And I said, that's great. When is the consultation booked? And he said, oh yeah, it's 2 weeks from today. And I said, 2 weeks from today? That's not good. Call them right now and see if you can schedule them. And when he called me back, he said, Stephanie, you're right. I lost the lead. They were able to find another personal injury attorney that scheduled them for today. And so I really recommend making sure that that consultation is booked anywhere between, same day will be ideal. I know that could be difficult, but no longer than 3 business days, because you don't know which competitor out there is going to be available to service your client faster. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, Stephanie, right now I don't have a process in place to do that, really rethink and ask yourself, if I had to make it happen, how could I? And maybe you have to hire, maybe you have to delegate to achieve that. But this is very, very important. And what was most painful about that personal injury attorney example that I just provided, very costly as far as the lead. Again, anywhere between $700 to $1,000 to acquire that client. And knowing that they went with another competitor for something that was within our control, it was very painful. So yeah, these are just a couple of strategies that you can implement to increase your booking rate. And of course, if you are ever in a situation where a client says, oh, thank you so much, I'm going to call back and book the consultation later, let me speak with my spouse, I would recommend following up. The lack of follow-up could really make it or break it. So these are a couple of strategies you can implement today to increase your consultation booking rate. In the next slide, I am going to share with you how can you increase show-up rate. So they're talking with your intake specialist, and you're really making sure that you're booking the call. We're at a stage where you really want to make sure they're showing up. This next strategy that I'm going to talk about is very creative. When was the last time you interacted with a business or a service provider that sent you a video message the day before your appointment? I can tell you personally that, when you have a dentist appointment, I get a text message saying, reminder, 24 hours before your dentist appointment. And that's really what every other business does. If you really want to stand out and differentiate and show clients that you want to give them an awesome customer experience from day one, there are amazing softwares out there that you can do this. This doesn't have to be, specifically done on your iPhone and for it to be texted to your client. There are softwares out there, and BombBomb is a great tool that you can record a video in 30 seconds and send it via email to the client. And the video has to be personalized. It could look a little bit like, hi, thank you so much for booking a consultation with me next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. I'm super, super excited to, get to know more about your case. I specialize in child custody, and I really want to know more about your case because this is my forte. Again, really looking forward to seeing you at 2 p.m. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you later. That quick video message really provides, again, very similar to the strategy that I show up earlier. It makes them feel like this feels like a good choice, and it makes you really stand out from your competitors. The next one is also very creative. And that is to share testimonials or value-driven content. So again, I know I'm referencing a lot of legal examples, but think about how this could be applicable to your business. And that could look like, 2 or 3 days before the consultation, you could say, hey, I know that based on your form submission, you're looking for XYZ. I've helped thousands of people. Take a look at my Google reviews, insert link of your Google profile. So many happy clients. I can't wait to make you my next happy client. Something along those lines. If you had amazing YouTube content, you can also share that. Hey, again, referring again to the child custody matter. Here's a video I already made on the top 5 things you need to know about child custody. I actually was thinking about you in preparation for our consultation and wanted to send this to you. That's, again, very creative, different, and you can send it, not difficult to send to your clients. And again, you're going to hear me say throughout this entire time that we really want to follow up with people that no-show to these consults. And really the strategies aligned here, number 1 and number 2, are going to prevent the no-show, but I don't want to disregard the fact that you are going to see no-shows. Sometimes it's not avoidable, so you really want to make sure you do that. Okay. If they booked the consultation, they showed up to the consultation, and oh my gosh, they were the perfect qualified lead, but Stephanie, they didn't hire me. That's painful, but I have a couple of strategies that you could implement that are going to help with that. Make sure that you review your intake script to understand if you're really asking the right questions that are conversational. There's this saying that says, who speaks the most earns less. So you really want to make sure that, you are allowing your potential client to be expressive and ensure that they're participating as equally as you, and it's not just you talking. So make sure that you review that and see if there's areas to optimize that process. Make sure that you're also finding what is the client's dominant buy-in motive. If I were to reference a funny one, no one wants to call a bankruptcy firm. I've never met someone that's super excited, like, I can't wait to hire a bankruptcy firm, right? That's not their dominant buy-in motive. They're calling a bankruptcy law firm because maybe they want freedom, financial freedom. Maybe they want to get rid of debt, right? That's their actual dominant buy-in motive. And it's not just, want to call a law firm. So find that dominant buy-in motive and figure out a way. And this is going to require you to really learn who's your client persona to really find this. And this could be hard to do, but once you find it, it's going to help you throughout the consultation stage. It's going to help you through the sales conversion phase and many other areas of your client journey. Another creative strategy is using loss aversion. This one is a little out there, but I love it because clients resonate with pain more than opportunity. So if I were to ask you two questions and I will say, hey, do you want to know how you can avoid losing $100? Versus, hey, do you want to know how you can win $100? Most people tend to be more like they want to know more why, like how they can not lose $100 versus how they can win $100, because the fear of pain is something that people gravitate to the most, more than like an opportunity. So figure out how can you apply that to your process, right? What is the opportunity cost of them not using your service, right? Going back again to that bankruptcy attorney, the pain of that specific potential lead not hiring the bankruptcy attorney is putting that potential lead one step like backwards towards gaining financial freedom. And so this is a very creative one. The last one is actually my favorite. And I will say that if this is something you want to implement, do not expect a lot of responses. But if you get responses, it's very helpful. And that is to create a didn't hire survey. Wouldn't it be so interesting to know why clients didn't hire you? And by the way, this is applicable to B2C. Wouldn't it be helpful for you to know why are people, if they were the perfect qualified lead, they attended the consult, they attended a free strategy session, a demo, why they didn't hire you? And you can start this survey with 3 basic questions. Why you didn't hire me? Did you sign up with another competitor? What is it that they offered that we didn't? And the fruits that come from that process are amazing. And I can actually share an example of this working for one of our clients. We had an IP attorney that executed this survey, and one of his clients answered by saying, you know what? I didn't sign up with you because of price. The cost to execute a patent was $3,000 with you. With LegalZoom, they're a big brand, but they're not the same level of service, was $500. So I'd rather save money and go with LegalZoom. And he started to see this trend that the prices were high. He started to see this trend that LegalZoom was acquiring a lot of his clients because of the cheaper rate. And what he actually did was implement a 1 to 2 sentence script in the intake process that said, hey, I just want to proactively let you know that LegalZoom is $500. You are going to find other services that are cheaper. As a matter of fact, if price is a concern, LegalZoom offers patents for $500. So, you could go ahead and do that. But I just want to let you know the value of my patent is the following: A, B, C. And then he started creating why their business was a differentiator than LegalZoom. And people started thanking him because some of them were even considering LegalZoom. And it puts the buyer in a mindset of, I want to hire the best. Price is not a concern. I just want to work with the best attorney in the area. So it created strategies and things that the specific business owner didn't even know. This is very easy to set up. You can go into ChatGPT, come up with a couple of didn't hire survey questions. You could do it in a Google form. And I'd be so curious to see the results.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Speaking of ChatGPT, I think that's perfect segue to kind of level it up at this point. And, while AI has certainly become a bit of a buzzword in the market nowadays, I do want to take a few minutes to detail how CallRail is taking some of these new tools available out on the market and applying them to conversation data in a way that can actually impact conversion rates and bring in more revenue to your business. So in terms of the information available whenever it comes to leads, conversations are an absolute goldmine. There's no question about it. And there's more relevant lead context in a single phone conversation than there is in all other interaction sources combined. There used to be no way to capitalize on that. But the truth of the matter is that today, whenever you review, the data within a phone call has multiple opportunities. And those opportunities include improving the lead conversion rates by identifying the quality, the source, or the intent of the lead. It can also improve the overall future customer experience. And it can do that through positive reinforcement of good behavior used by agents during the call or enriching customer data in your CRM that you use. It can also improve agent performance by giving them the tools that they need to quickly respond to a lead's questions or concerns without having them to manually comb every single call or every single interaction. And ultimately, it can improve your entire marketing function. And it does this by aggregating insights across multiple conversations, multiple interactions, and even multiple campaigns, and quantitatively proving what's working and what's not. And all of this can be automated with the application of conversation analysis within CallRail. And all of that begins with call tracking. Refining your marketing motion is step one. It's the basis. And it's going to provide you with more high quality leads, and AI becomes more powerful the wider the data set. So more leads, more power that AI is going to be able to provide you. There are exponential gains to the application of AI. So as you get your call tracking motion dialed in, you have all these leads coming to you, and now you're presented with the question of what can you do with them? And it can be something fairly straightforward and simple, like having our engine tell you whether there was an appointment scheduled on a call. It can score the likelihood that a lead's going to convert. Or it can give you customer details that's going to enrich your contacts in your CRM. And it's going to help you foster a better relationship with the client. So not only converting that lead, but converting that lead multiple times as they come back to become a returning customer. And all of this can be done without ever needing to listen to a single call or read a single call transcript. So going back to call tracking, AI tools can actually help you even further refine your marketing attribution. Call tracking can help you understand that your new customer came to your website from organic search, but it takes AI-powered analysis to surface that the customer first saw your services listed on one of your service trucks that were driving around town. You would never be able to tell that full multi-touch attribution journey without listening to every single call and taking the time to manually document all of this somewhere. But tools like self-reported attribution are going to automatically solve this and surface it in some really easy to understand and easy to share reports. And then again, in terms of improving your customer service delivery, how do you know how to prioritize which customers need a little extra attention? There's tools like sentiment analysis that can surface conversations with a negative sentiment so that you can address any concerns or issues that may have arisen in a call. Or on the other hand, you can surface the most positive conversations so that you can reach out to these satisfied customers for additional reviews or, for additional business.
Okay.
And, finally, now that you're sitting in marketing nirvana where you have too many leads that you know what to do with, right? You said no salesperson ever. But how can we expedite service to all of these leads? And how can we convert as many of them as possible to continue that revenue stream and continue our business? Well, you can, and that's through a new tool that we developed here at CallRail. We recently released Convert Assist, and this is another AI-powered tool that you can get a full action plan, an entire articulate email or text response that you can copy into whatever platform you choose, and a full strengths and opportunities assessment for every single interaction with the client. And all of this is automatically generated for you through the power of AI. And that is so that you can get back to generating more leads for your business, like your sales team is probably asking you to do. So while the applications of AI are seemingly endless, there are new ones that are coming every single day. But in order to help you apply some of these tools that I just referenced, once again, I'm going to pass it back to Stephanie so she can illustrate some real world examples.
Yeah, I was laughing when you said, keeping track of all these things manually. I mean, not only that, we were relying on our clients. So this is not only helping us as an agency have more access to data so that we can make faster pivots for our clients, but also, better decisions based on this data. Our clients don't have to be as involved anymore thanks to the use of AI. And I'm going to share with you a couple of examples of how SMB uses CallRail AI tools that not only our clients are raving about, but we love. This specific one touches base on the sentiment analysis that Zac was referencing. This is a criminal defense attorney. You could see also the lead quality insights, which is also using AI. So for us, this was very easy for the client to go into the portal and see kind of like their overall lead quality, but also for us as an agency, if we're spending $30,000, $40,000 on ad spend, which by the way, the first two calls that you can see in here are actually for a criminal Spanish campaign that we're running for this client. It's good to see that it was a positive sentiment and that they were also a qualified lead. And you can even see our client engaging with a note. So having an equal amount of partnership and having both the client on board to using AI insights, but also for us, it has provided amazing results for our clients. So that, as Zac mentioned, our client can focus on converting the leads and we can continue to focus on generating more leads using some of this AI data. The second example that I actually want to share with you is, and this is actually a very interesting one. This has AI, like an AI summary of the call. And for this specific client, who's both a personal injury and criminal attorney, they pride themselves in making sure that their intake team is following the script. And they're also very picky when it comes to the process in making sure that their intake team is speaking equally as the client. Again, going back to some of the strategies that I mentioned earlier. And this is very easy for my client to hold their team accountable. This is very easy for me and my team to quickly have a summary of the call. Sometimes, an intake call for a very complex case could be anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes. The fact that I can get a summary in real time in 3 sentences is great. It allows me to audit even more calls, but also for our client, using it to hold their team members accountable, also do some quality assurance fairly quickly. It has been really, really great. And the last example that I actually want to show is my favorite. So this specific example is taking into account 82 calls in a lifespan of 2 weeks. I have a client that gets anywhere between 500 calls a month. And so this specific report took 30 seconds, and it gave me a 3-list bullet point, giving me summary of the calls that have been generated during that period of time. So giving me a quick summary of the call quality. What was very interesting was the questions. So these are specific questions that are coming up in the calls. And what's interesting is that clients can actually use these specific questions to come up with content If they want to create like an FAQ on their website, like here are the common questions that most of our clients are asking during the intake process. That's very helpful. I think as a business, you might want to know what are the type of questions that are coming up on a weekly basis that maybe you need to train your team on, or again, create content material on your site that's going to address some of that. But I also love the sentiment breakdown. I think for this specific example, it was higher in the neutral. So being able to dig deeper into what are those specific calls? Is there anything that we can improve in there? Is it a lead quality issue? Is it a intake issue that maybe it was not like a polite call? It gives us the data to make better decisions and dig deeper into root issues outside of, again, generating leads, converting leads. This data has been pretty invaluable. And yeah, we just love it so much.
That one happens to be my favorite tool as well. I think it's awesome to be able to not only aggregate insights from one call, but again, speaking to, the wider the data set, the more powerful the AI. Whenever you're analyzing entire marketing campaigns over the course of a week, there's so many insights that you can bring in. So very quickly, thank you all for being here, but a couple of different options for you. If you think any of the tools that we mentioned today or any of the applications mentioned today, you think they could elevate your sales or marketing organizations, I do want to go ahead and invite you to trial CallRail, completely risk-free, no cost, for a full 2 weeks. You can go ahead and scan the QR code right there on your screen or visit callrail.com. I know there's also a handout that we have that you can download. And then I know we're also going to have a breakout room, but I do believe, Lauren, are you going to open that up? Okay, yep, obviously right there. So there's the breakout room, but also Stephanie and I are going to hang around here. And if there are any questions, you can also go ahead and put them in the Q&A and we'll be here to address those.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for going through all of this today as well. And then Preston will be hosting the breakout room, which I believe most of you saw with your pop-up in the screen. It popped up on mine right when I was hitting the unmute button, by the way. So I was like, oh no, which one do I hit? Yeah, really great stuff. Had some questions come in. Just as a reminder, if you do have any questions for Zac or for Stephanie while we're going over these, please feel free to enter them into our Q&A area. So, I had a lot of discussion about utilizing AI in terms of, not just better converting those leads and those calls, possible nurturing, but also analyzing everything behind the scenes too, right? How to make things better, response time, making sure that your salespeople aren't talking too much, and letting the leads talk. But one question that we had about AI really is like, do you have any tips on how to convince the higher ups in a company to buy into utilizing AI for phone calls?
That's a really great question. And I mean, so what's nice about this is there are a lot of free applications of AI where you can start to test some different applications of it. But another option, there are a lot of companies with AI solutions like CallRail, for that matter, with 14-day free trials. So there are free ways that you can go in and test different applications of AI, and you can develop those proof points that you can bring up to your leaders within your organization to present on what an impact that it can have for your business. But for that matter, AI, I think, is also becoming a little bit more affordable every single day, and that's another argument that you can use. But there are free applications out there. The value, I think, is becoming much more widely publicized, and the proof points are live and available to read out there on the internet. And I also think the inherent risk to organizations that aren't adopting it today and early, I think those are the ones that are going to be left behind, because as I said earlier, AI, there are new tools every day. There are new applications of these tools every single day. And there's really a risk for businesses in not adopting it.
I 100% agree. I think it's definitely an opportunity cost because this is meant to save time. And time is the biggest, asset that as employees you have as a business. I think I will dig deeper as to like what are the specific concerns that maybe the leadership team has so that you can better handle those concerns. And to Zach's point, there's no harm with testing, right? So you could test it for a week, 2 weeks, and then if it doesn't work or you don't like it, you can always go back. But I think nowadays, not implementing AI as part of your strategy, you are going to fall behind. And again, the intention is to save time. I think to me is why not? Test it out.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
Also, sometimes when people hear the word AI, it's a very broad stroke, right? Mm-hmm. So being more specific, this is how we're going to utilize AI to make sure we're better understanding our referrals instead of having to go through them one at a time. This is how we're going to utilize it for this, for that. But the broad stroke of AI across the board can be a little bit scary sometimes, I might think, with higher ups inside of a company. Mm-hmm. You had gone through callback prompts quite a bit. So the ability to get the information and then maybe text back or call back. Is there like an amount of time that customers will wait for a callback before going to a competitor? From personal experience, I know if I'm calling an airline and they say, okay, well, we should be able to call you back in 20 minutes. Or if I'm calling my healthcare provider, we should be able to call you back in an hour and a half. Or maybe a lead. Like, is there a certain amount of time that's best for a response there? And then are there any prompts or nurturing that you could do in the build up to the callback, kind of like the video nurturing the personalized video nurturing you discussed the day before an appointment, to make sure they really feel comfortable with their dental specialist or whatever? Is there anything that can be done during that callback time as well?
I really think about putting myself in the shoes of a client, especially if I'm finding you through an ad. If I call a business through an ad and you don't answer, I'm just going to click on the next ad. I would rather approach it from a place of how can I ensure that I always have someone to pick up the phone during business hours, maybe even signing up with a call answering service to pick up those calls when I'm not available, so it doesn't fall just on your team. If there's calls after hours, you can set up a call answering service just for after hours to like close the gap. But I would rather go that route first versus thinking about what can I do to keep them engaged? Because the reality of the situation is a customer is going to call the next person if you're not responding the first time. I mean, I personally do that myself. When I'm trying to get my nails done, if the first person doesn't pick up, I'm just going to pick up and call the next other nail salon that has great reviews. It's just how consumers act and think and behave. So I think approaching it from a place of how can I adapt my process to the way consumers think and behave, rather than how can I make it easier for me as a business if I fall into this situation.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a statistic I think that I often reference, but if your response time to an inbound lead goes between 5 and 10 minutes, that once it goes into that 5 to 10 minute window, your chance of actually progressing that lead through the qualification funnel can go down 80%. So quick response is absolutely paramount. And with tools like the automated response, you just give that customer, and again, I think, Stephanie illustrated it really well. It's important to be empathetic and put yourself in those customer shoes. Just a simple like, hey, I heard you. Sorry, I missed you. I'll get back with you as soon as I can. That little reassurance buys you more time and gives you a much better chance of qualifying that lead and eventually working your way to a sale.
It was really interesting looking at, kind of stated this before, but the amount of referral simplification that you have utilizing AI to review that conversation, right? Or review those notes, what they may be, instead of one person. How can that be applied to the scripting, the follow-up, chances of actually converting the client? For example, word of mouth or referral from a friend versus seeing an ad versus maybe organic search? I know there's multi-touch attribution as that can all play a part there, but do you enhance scripting or anything based upon that referral?
Yeah, definitely. So with the Convert Assist tool that I use, not only is that looking at every single call and generating kind of follow-up and personalized follow-up to that call, but it's also looking at every touch point that happened previously. So it's aggregating all of the insights from all of those touch points that the customer made to refine a message or an outreach or next best steps based on the entire customer journey and not just one touch point. So with tools like that, you're really able to put together like an action plan and generate an outreach that is relevant to the customer and can actually resonate with them.
Excellent. And going back to nurturing the customer, so you get in the lead, you have the initial discussion, you make the appointment, right? So we customer calls in maybe on Monday, get the lead in, get that ready, have an appointment on Wednesday or Thursday. You discuss maybe sending over the video beforehand. Is there any other kind of nurturing that's done that you recommend through this process, and or does CallRail make those recommendations based upon the type of customer, the type of lead? So maybe the nurturing could be sending them a link to a blog post or sending them a link to, here's where the office is, here's some information about parking, things along those nature, if it is an in-person consultation.
There are absolutely tools that based on, different keywords that were mentioned within the conversation, you can route them appropriately, or you can, put them into a certain marketing campaign or something like that. But, Stephanie, if you have any specific things that
yeah, I was actually going to reference, if a business has a CRM, you can build automations in a workflow on that, right? So, if it's a form submission on a website, you can integrate your website with your CRM and create a workflow of like a lead nurturing, right? So like day 1, send this blog post. Day 2, send this testimonial. Day 3, and you might not want to do, an outreach every single day. You could decide what that workflow could look like depending on the urgency of the lead. But there are workflows you can set up with almost any single CRM to help create that. And it's even automated, which is even better.
Also, I'd like to also reiterate that in the chat here, we do have Preston who's chimed in and says, if anyone would like a personalized demo of the CallRail platform, please feel free to send him an email at Preston, is it bowling? Preston.bowling@callrail.com. So right there in the chat. And then also really appreciate everything today. It was great, not only Zac, to hear everything that you're working on behind the scenes, but also Stephanie, how all of CallRail's, all the opportunities that are given by CallRail are implemented to your work with you and your clients at SMB. So really, really appreciate not only that overview, but also the action items that you take and how that's made a difference with your agency and the lives of their clients as well, right? So really cool to hear. Really appreciate that. And for everyone that attended the breakout session. And again, please, a simple reminder, we do have a takeaway here. So the PDF from Conversations to Conversions, How Small Businesses Can Market Smarter, is available in our handout section. So highly recommend downloading that, then following up with the CallRail team. If you want to back up just one more slide for where that QR code is. Just as a reminder, again, if you don't want to email Preston directly, you can utilize this QR code here and learn more and get your 14-day free trial with no credit card required at CallRail. So I appreciate that as well. Again, everybody, thanks a lot for attending today's SEJ webinar. Our next SEJ webinar is going to be on March 12th. So we have a couple weeks until then. That's going to be high quality conversions, how to optimize your website and boost growth with Conductor. So please feel free to sign up. And in the meantime, again, really appreciate the presentation today, both Zach and Stephanie, and really cool to see what you guys have in store for the next time. So thanks again. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Lauren.
All right. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.